episode of Conversations with Claudia. Today my guest is Elena Brower. Recently on the cover of Yoga Journal's June issue, Elena is the founder of Virayoga in New York City. She's been teaching Anusara yoga for over 14 years, and she also teaches huge scale events, yoga experiences at places like MoMA, Museum of Modern Art, to the Great Lawn of Central Park, and also recently at Wanderlust Festival. She's also contributes for Huffington Post. You can find her teachings on yogaglow.com. She's been featured in the New York Times. She's everywhere. So she's amazing. Elena, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Back to the sort of beginning of Virayoga and your journey as an instructor. I know you've gone through different phases. So how has that been?
One of the best things that I could offer, whether you are watching as a yoga student or a yoga teacher or somebody who's never done yoga, there will always be a different phase happening. At first, it was about sort of teaching the poses and teaching the alignment. There was no spirit to it. I was the one who was not talking about the heart at all. I was the black sheep. I wanted nothing to do with the heart language. It was me, vinyasa yoga, flow, flow, flow. And then a poem at the end. Slowly over time that has evolved into how much meaning can I bring to this hour and a half so that this person and everybody standing in front of me can actually go home and be remarkable in their homes in a way that they are not normally. They come to the mat, they're amazing, they're beautiful, they're aligned, they're together, they're connected to themselves, and then they go home and are assholes.
Yeah.
I am guilty.
Yeah.
And I started to see that in myself, and I got so sick of the dichotomy and the conflict. I was so tired of it. And I finally decided this is my mission. I'm going to teach people how to take this feeling, this resonance, this connectedness, this cohesiveness, and I'm going to demand that they bring it home. If there's somebody in your life who's super frustrating, vexing, annoying, freaking you out, you actually can adopt an attitude that is so much more receptive to look at them and say, okay, how are they actually reflecting me right now? How are they pointing me to where I can improve within myself? This person is my map. The more confusing, the more frustrating, the better. They can show me where I am in myself, where I am actually generating that reality myself. Immediately you see that that's a part of it. Then you start to figure out how you align yourself with it. On the mat, you're aligning your body in such beautifully precise ways. The technology of Anusara is unparalleled, and that's why I chose it. But you learn how to align yourself with these people in your life who you can't seem to get connected to at all. They are so different. They are so wrong. Everything is wrong about them. Actually, it's you.
Right.
It's so you have no idea. And the minute you start to align with the reality of who they are and how they're being and how that's giving you a reflection of you, then you can start to really expand.
I was watching the video of you speaking at Wanderlust about welcoming yourself and how it so starts with yourself.
Yeah.
And there was just a million situations in every day through walking down the street to people that we know and business and life and everything. And your immediate reaction is like effort and frustration or whatever it is. But really the fundamental thing first is like softening, right? As turning it internally. Can you explain that a little bit more?
This is for women, so I'm going to speak to the women.
Please.
We will immediately go to the place of how can I help? How can I literally marshal my armies, my forces, my strengths to command this situation? What's really called for is actually for us to go to a place of total femininity and open up and say, okay, how can I receive this moment? If it's my child, if it's my husband, if it's whatever it is, how can I receive my boss, my employee? How can I receive this person in their fullness and really see what needs to happen here? First, put a pause, a wedge of time between that thing and me. My reaction, my response, so that reactions actually do become responses rather than me walking around in a state of reaction all day. And as women, that's what we can do, because we know how hard to work. We want to do it all.
You've done, you're involved in so many different projects. Can you just give us sort of how do you describe what Elena Brower does, or who you are?
I think the best way to talk about it is that I started as a yoga teacher, and I started to see that even doing yoga, people were not getting what they needed to really make a shift in their lives toward reclaiming all the lost parts of themselves and start to really see their mission through to manifestation. Yoga's amazing, but it's not the only story. What I discovered is that I actually needed a life coach, and now I'm incorporating the coaching methodology of particularly the Handel group into my teaching in a way that helps everybody in the room not just learn how to align their bodies and get super fit and long and lean, but to actually understand how the dialogue inside of their minds, the little conversation that seems to be like God's talking, that's stopping us from doing all the things that we should be doing and dragging us somehow toward the fridge, dragging us to the television when really we should be actually going and making a phone call that scares us in order to further what it is that we're doing in this world, on this planet. That conversation needs to stop. And when I discovered the coaching aspect of now what I'm doing, everything came together. And now my teaching has sort of gotten to another level because of the methodology of the Handel group and because of the way in which we have to begin examining all of the ways we have been perceiving ourselves, all of the things that we think are true about who and how we are and where we came from and what's possible in our relationships and how we relate to our parents. That any of us could say that we are falling in love with somebody and hate our parents, it can't happen. It can't live in the same space. Even if your parents were awful, horrible to you, they put you here for a reason. They were there for a reason. We are all here to evolve in a very masterful and timely way. So adding that coaching into the yoga has been a total revelation for my students and for myself. Now there's a clarity, there's a meaning to each class, there's a mission to each class. There's, if people are willing to take it on, even homework. Like, can you go home and have a conversation that you have been avoiding for 15 years and in 15 minutes heal at least 2 people?
And I was reading too that you were talking about secrets and lies.
Lauren Zander, who's one of the vice chairman of the Handel group, she talks about how we think we have secrets, but actually secrets have us. And my secrets had me for a really long time. I am now best friends with my ex-husband. We both cheated. And we were both able to come to each other and say categorically, I love you and I forgive you, and I get it. I totally get what happened. And now we have a 5-year-old son who gets to see these 2 parents who are best friends, fully accepting each other in a way that never would have happened without this understanding of that dialogue. Never.
And it's fear, right?
Fear or love.
Fear or love.
It's your call at any moment. You get to choose fear or love. If it's fear,
why we lie.
Yeah. If it's fear. If it's fear, if you've chosen fear, most likely you're going to lie in the moment. And if you are lying, it's either one of 2 voices. This is the best part about the Handel group because it's so simple, it's annoying. It's either the chicken or the brat. Who's talking for you right now? Chicken or brat?
I don't want to do that. I'm not going. Right. I'm not eating well because I deserve to have a cookie.
Or the chicken.
Spoiled.
I'm never going to get that done, so there's no reason to try. No, and I'm remembering what my mom said to me umpteen years ago about the fact that that will never work. Nope. F it. I'm not doing it. Chicken. And one of those. If you're lying, it's probably one of those voices coming through and literally driving for you.
When did this revelation happen for you? And
just over a year ago.
Oh. And then when did you decide to take on all these new projects? The fragrance, the books. I mean, was this a major turning point in sort of your career as well?
For the Handel group, and I'm going to keep turning to them because it's really how it went. They have me doing what's called a day design. Every morning I have to write down how the day went already in an email to several people who are holding my space for me. By the end of the day, I have to go through and relate exactly how it actually happened, if it was any different than what I had predicted. When you design the day, you design it as if it had already happened. You are standing in the shoes of she who has already accomplished the mission. You are holding the state of the person who is already in that state of accomplishment. I think there was 1 or 2 times in the past several months where I didn't actually get to the thing that I wrote down. And what I'm writing down is ludicrously challenging, reaching, I'm going to do this today, scary stuff. The scarier, the better. And that's how it all went. And I will say this, we can't really be watching TV if we want to make dreams come true. That is one thing that I always say if I'm ever interviewed. People ask me how I got all of this stuff done, how I'm doing it all, how you have a kid, how do you do this? First of all, you get amazing collaborators with you. You empower the people who are working with you and for you to help you. You love them, you give to them, you make sure they know how appreciated they are literally every day. And then you trust them.
It's such a
and you don't watch TV. There's no TV in my house. There cannot be a TV. The TV is sucking this country dry.
And as I hear you say all of this too, I'm just also realizing how most people in this world do not live this way. You know, they haven't even come close to this revelation. So it is, I mean, even just to say, okay, yeah, I want a life coach. You know, a lot of people can't even admit that they have a therapist or that they even need help.
Somebody told me, I want you to meet Lauren Zandrich's life coach. I was like, no, thank you, no. And I say this all the time, no way. And I sat down with her and I started to tell her my little story. Poor me. Oh my God, it's so sad. The whole thing is so sad. She was like, honey, it's you.
Right.
You want it to change or not?
Right. It's like, you know, do we want people to pity us or feel sorry for us or, yeah, it's sort of not, exactly, it's not productive. Yeah. Is it ever hard for you? I mean, this whole, like this ritual that you have and, you know, I mean, you're writing your mission and what you're gonna, setting your intentions for the day and your mission for the day, and it's huge, scary things. Is it ever challenging? It's
a reach every single day. One of the most challenging parts is actually getting the thing written while I take my son to school every day, to camp every day, whatever the case may be. I love doing that. That's my thing. Rare that I miss it. It's just hard to get the time to like be present for him and to get that thing written and have it really be meaningful and rich and delicious and tingly. Like, that's my dream for today. That's making my hairs on my arms stand on end. I'm so excited about today, literally. And just to be present for him and to make the lunch and to make the breakfast and make sure that the house is remotely sane for whoever else is coming later. That's kind of it, you know, just to hold it together.
If I were to ask you, you know, maybe what are sort of the 3 most important, most significant things in your life right now that matter to you the most, that make you a happy person, what would those 3 things be?
I want to make sure that everybody and everything that I'm coming into contact with is feeling resonant with me. There's some kind of match in, I don't love to use this word, but it's the best word. There's some kind of match in vibration. Like when you know that you're in the right place at the right time with the right person, having the right conversation, boom, you know. That's really important. 2, I think, is to make sure that my son sees a balanced human being, a person who is, if not balanced, at least working toward it and talking about the imbalance so that he knows that I am making the best effort that I possibly can make toward showing up for myself so that he can know what that looks like for himself. And I think the 3rd would be to support the men in my life. And some women are not going to like this, but I really feel strongly that we are the reason why men are not showing up is because we're not showing up.
No, I mean, I think it's a really interesting topic. Actually, Sheila S. Factor. I don't know if you've ever met Sheila Kelly.
I haven't met her, but
so I've interviewed her before, and total badass. And she's a hardcore feminist, but she is all about nurturing her man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she's like, I'm number one, my man is number two, and then my child is number three, because I'm not gonna do good for anybody unless I'm good myself. Totally. And then in order to be good parents and to provide a loving family, then, you know, me and my man have to be in sync and loving, and obviously she's a very sensual woman, and and that's the thing. The other thing too is like many people women are disconnected with their sensual sexual selves.
That's where the coaching.
Yeah, and that's actually a huge topic about the nurturing of the men too, because at a certain point you do lose that sort of emotional or physical, you know, connection. Sometimes it's very common. You talked about Women for Women International, which is huge because it's such an amazing organization, and Half the Sky, which is by Nicholas Kristof. They've talked about the organization a lot. Tell me about why you chose specifically this nonprofit.
I chose Women for Women because of an evening that I went to probably 2 years ago. I was brought to this sort of salon at someone's home, and Zainab, the founder of Women for Women, Zainab Salvi, was speaking. And she started to talk, and within moments of her explaining her escape from Iraq, I was bawling, knowing for sure that I had to first teach a yoga benefit of some kind for her, and I didn't know what else, but I knew I wanted to be like that was where I was going to divert my my tithing, you know, what I could give. In the past few months, my sister-in-law, upon falling in love with the scent that I have made for myself for many, many years and always worn, said, I'm taking over. Her name is Alexandra Perlman. I'm taking over. I'm getting this scent bottled and made. I said, fine, as long as we can give money to Women for Women, what should we call it? Immediately we were both decided on Give is the name of the scent. A portion of the proceeds of every bottle goes to Women for Women. It's an essential oil blend, so we're also not only giving to them, but we're also educating women about the fact that real perfume, the way that it's sold now with alcohol and chemicals, the alcohol literally takes the chemicals right into your bloodstream directly. The alcohol is a carrier for the toxins. So we need to get as many women as possible off the perfume and onto essential oils of any kind, not necessarily this one, whatever they choose. But this is a labor of so much love. It's so exciting for me to get women to smell this this scent. It's like
so personal to you.
It's so
and
personal.
I've
I've been wearing it for 5 years and everybody loves it. Where did you make it? La la la. Finally, yes, I do. I think the best way to describe what I do to somebody on the street who's never done yoga before is to explain that in order to get into the obstructions in your mind that are actually stopping you from being the greatest you that you can be, from connecting and building bridges to all the people in your life, not just a few of them, from being kind to everybody, not just the ones that you love. There is an element of movement that I teach, and there's an element of connecting to yourself that I teach. The movement is obvious. It's steeped in Anusara yoga. The technology is amazing. The alignment is incredibly meticulous. But the other piece of it is you connecting to the greatest, most concentrated, most focused person that you can be, and then opening up in that space while you're on your mat so that you know what that feels like to go home and be that person for your family. My mission is to get millions of people understanding what it means to be amazing on your mat and go and match that in your house. That's what's important to me.
And it really, I mean, it goes beyond yoga, right? I mean, ultimately, as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a yoga instructor, as an author, you know, as all of these different things, you ultimately are building a brand and a business that is about, you know, making the world a better place by getting people to connect to their inner selves, their truths, and to those millions of little obstacles and things that we were saying, to then further and have a more amazing life. Yes. And really yoga and that teaching is really like the platform and the tool on how you will achieve that mission.
Well, I can't get to people without, I mean, I can get to them without the movement. More accurately, I can get to them a lot faster if they're in their bodies while the concepts are being presented. I have found that to be an incredible way to get people just a little more receptive to what is possible for them in their relationships and their families. And that, I think, is number one entree into world peace, real world peace.
So for the average person who, or somebody who is not in our practice,
Yes.
and who might be feeling, all of these sort of challenges that we're talking about, and at a place where they might not be connected, or they do have baggage that they're not working out, or they are going through challenges in their relationships, or whatever it is, or not happy with their job. If it was your friend's sister, and you just sort of were to have a conversation with them and give them that advice, what would you say to them?
I would just start by asking them to start writing down their life. Like, in every single area, how are things going? 1 to 10. How's your personal space? How's your sex life? How's your romantic life? How's your work life? How's your relationship to your parents, to your family? Start to write things down. Because once you start to write them down, you start to actually see them on paper, whether it's on a computer or a piece of paper, and you start to take responsibility for them in a different way. And if everybody can start to just do that and just start to see themselves in black and white, things can start to shift. You can't do it just by talking about it and rehashing it over and over. To make a record of it, to really see it, I have found in my experience and my experience with my clients and my students, changes things in 2 days.
God, there's just so many amazing women that we were so blessed to meet and come by as we talk about some of our mutual friends like Gabby or whoever it is, and it's hopefully we can all together align and and make this movement move forward.
It's happening.
Yeah, it is awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It was amazing, and I can't wait to take your next class.